What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? We're gonna do a little story time. You know, I'm gonna let y'all in on how I got out of my daddy's house, how it all began. So we're gonna go way back to like 1988. Graduated in the year of 1988. Came out of school. You know, I was a youngster. My mother and father was married my whole life. It was four of us. We had Junior, Wee Wee, and Daryl and me. Well, me and then Daryl. Daryl was my little brother. Is my little brother. Uh, Living down in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Parents worked themselves, got together when they was young, worked themselves, established themselves as a family should. They did it God's way. And we never wanted for anything. And anyway, you know, our life got even better after my older siblings left the house. Because the older I get, I see who the rebellious ones was. The rebellious one was the two that was just steps. Charles Jr. just a year older than Wee Wee. When they left the house, our house was peaceful. It was great, y'all. Everything was peaches and cream. Mom and Daddy wasn't sitting around fussing and fighting. We didn't hear all that stuff in our house. We and Charles Jr. wasn't around there fighting each other like they was cats and dogs no more. House was very peaceful. I was a great big brother to my little brother. Life was beautiful. Well, in late 88, early December, it all started when my auntie in Kansas City, she was struggling with cancer. And I heard we were going to Kansas City all the time to see her. And I overheard my mother make a statement like, if my sister don't make it through this cancer, I don't think I will. And I was like, dang, that's not a good statement to make. But anyway, she didn't make it. And then, like, I think it was early November or whatever, we laid her to rest. And then in December, early December, my mother had been complaining about chest pains. So this specific morning, it was late at night. I came in, asked her how she was feeling and everything. She said she was doing a little better, but then when I went to sleep, I woke up the next morning. Well, not even 2 or 3 hours, my old man woke me up. Now, peep game. He was, you know, I'm not going to tell all the business, but I'm just telling y'all how I got introduced to adulthood. And hopefully this will help a lot of you youngsters that's sitting around having pity parties and blah, blah, blah. You know, I always got an excuse. Yeah, put it like this. It'll help some of you chumps get off your mama's titty. But anyway, this day I came in, went to a room, and because I heard the TV on, and I said they had a rocking chair in their room beside the bed. So I sat in the rocking chair, asked her how she was feeling. She was okay. So we was watching this movie on HBO. I'll never forget the movie. If I forget the name now, it's been so many years. But if I see it, I know it. And you know, I was always a jokester, so I was cracking jokes, and she started laughing and stuff. And so I told her I was gonna go ahead and go to bed. So I went to bed. Then a couple of hours later, my old man came up the stairs. And get it, my sister was there visiting. My older sister was there visiting, but he came straight to me. And me and my little brother had a room together. He said, boy, get up. And I was like, what's wrong? He said, I can't wake up your mama. So I came downstairs, and Daryl followed me downstairs, and I woke Wee Wee up, and we all went downstairs. Well, mama was sitting in the den, and she had a towel over her shoulder, but her eyes was closed. She was already gone. And I looked at my old man. I said, "Say, man, did you what happened?" He just, you know, told her what was said, and She asked him to go get her a wet rag to put on her forehead. I guess she was having hot flashes or she was hot. And when he left, she left. Literally. When he left out the room, came back, he said she was like that. So he just put the rag on her shoulder and came and got me. So then I said, well, we need to dial 911. I believe I might have even yelled at my dad for the first time. I guess because I was like, dude, it was messed up. And y'all, I knew she was gone. Because like 3 months before she had died, I had seen her in a dream in a coffin. And it was like God started preparing me for her to leave. After the dream, I woke up and I was sobbing. And I ran to her room and I was just sitting in that same rocking chair sobbing. And she rolled over and said, boy, go home, go on back to bed. I ain't went nowhere yet. And I went back to bed. But anyway, we called an ambulance and they came in there and they laid her on the floor and they did that shock treatment stuff. They was doing that shock treatment and boom, 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 hitting her chest, and her chest was rising. It was almost taking her off the floor. I was like, dang, that seemed like that'll kill you right there. I mean, unalive you right there. Excuse me, YouTube. But anyway, then they got in the ambulance, and y'all know when you go in the ambulance and they set for a long time, it's not good. So Jerry Washington was across the street. He came over, and they told us to leave out the house before they took her to the ambulance. And I told my sister and I told my father, we sat on the porch, and I told him, I said, say, man, y'all better get used to living without her because she gone. And we snapped on me. Don't be saying that, mama strong and gonna make da. But I already knew she was gone. I knew she was gone. But I'm thinking, I'm like, man, what in the world am I gonna do with my life now? Because mama was everything. She was the glue, the foundation, the everything. Yeah, daddy was the breadwinner. He was the shot caller, but he basically relinquished authority to whatever my mother said. He broke the bread and let her spread the bread to where it needed to go. He made the bread and she spread the bread. So we went to the hospital and stuff. They got her to the hospital. We drove to the hospital, and the doctor came in. Her sister, my Aunt May, rest in peace, Aunt May, she came out there to the hospital. Aunt Myron came out to the hospital. Rest in peace, Aunt Myron. And so they came in the waiting room where we at, and they said they started asking questions about her health and asked did she smoke and all that stuff. And my dad was asking questions, so that gave everybody hope because they was like they trying to figure out treatment. But then after all that, they talked for like 7 to 8 minutes, y'all, about her medical history, just to turn around and say, sorry, Mr. Razdale, we've done all we could do. We couldn't save her. So everybody, like, I was stunned, numb. And by then, I called my partner Lauren a lot, waiting. He was about to come in, but I guess he was like waiting to see what was going to happen or whatever. So my old man, after they said she passed, my auntie, they had to get her some water, and they brought some nurses out there to her because it seemed like she wasn't doing good. And then I walked out, and then Aunt Myron, she was walking in the house, and that was the beginning of manhood, really, of getting out on my own, getting out on my range, the funeral. And you know us as black people, we don't do well with death. And we are very everybody wants to come through. I noticed that broke people get money home. People worried about what can they get out of it. Money. But early December, We laid moms to rest. And that's the way I started my adulthood. Still a teenager. Because I left Muskogee, Oklahoma on my way to college. My mother had arranged, done all my paperwork for me to go to college in Texas. It was either Atlanta, Georgia, or Texas. And I chose Texas because Dallas was closer to where I could get home. Because I already knew, say, man, I wasn't mature as a adult to be that far from home. But I knew it was time to go because I know my daddy was old school. Either it was military or school. I was already working. So I just didn't want to be a burden on my parents. I wanted to do what I was supposed to do. I didn't, and I think, people used to say, oh, you spoiled, Aunt Mert spoiled. I wasn't spoiled. I was not spoiled. I always worked. I had paper routes. I worked with we at Pizza Hut. I worked. I cut yards. Me and my homeboys was always working. It was them two oldest ones that would sit up and suck up all the air and not do nothing. But anyway, the day I left was